It's 6:47 on a Tuesday morning in Dubai, and your phone vibrates before your alarm does. You reach over, unlock the screen, and open your banking app while the smell of cardamom coffee drifts in from the kitchen. Your salary landed overnight, and for a few seconds, seeing the full amount sitting there feels good. Rent is due in 11 days, the car payment goes out next week, school fees are coming next month, and your health insurance renewal isn't far away. And suddenly, that number doesn't look nearly as impressive as it did when HR first offered it to you. There's a number most people living in the UAE never stop to think about, and it might be the most important financial number in your life. It's not your age, it's not your job title, and it's not even your annual salary. It's what your salary actually buys you in the UAE in 2026. You can live in one of the most tax-friendly countries on earth, earn an excellent income, work in glass towers overlooking Sheikh Zayed Road, and still quietly feel trapped. While someone earning exactly the same amount is building investments and moving steadily toward financial freedom. The difference isn't usually income, it's understanding what income really means. Let's start at the bottom. Suppose you're earning AED 5,000 a month, that's AED 60,000 a year, with no personal income tax reducing it. A studio apartment in parts of Dubai can easily cost AED 45,000,000, climbing higher near downtown or the marina, while Abu Dhabi and Sharjah stay more affordable. Now let's do the math. AED 5,000 a month is AED 60,000 and your rent at AED 48. UO 00 is AED 4, 0,000,000 is AED 4. That's 80% of your income gone before groceries, transportation, or a single meal out. On paper, the UAE offers zero income tax. In practice, housing quietly becomes your unofficial tax. The country gives you one of the most generous tax systems in the world, and the market takes it back through lifestyle expectations. You start sharing apartments, delaying savings, and relying on credit cards to bridge the gap, and another year passes with your net worth barely moved. Now let's climb higher. Imagine you're earning AED 12,000 a month, that's AED 44,000 a year. You don't lose 30% to taxes here, you receive nearly every dirham you earn, which should make wealth easy. But a one-bedroom apartment in Dubai runs AED 90,000 a year, that's AED 7,500 a month on its own. Add a car at AED 1,600, utilities at AED 800, internet and mobile at AED 400, and groceries at AED 1,500. Suddenly, you're spending around AED 12,800 a month, while only earning AED 12,000. That's not because you're irresponsible or wasteful. It's because lifestyle inflation in the UAE happens quietly. It arrives disguised as convenience, a nicer tower, valet parking, weekly brunches, and food delivery. One subscription becomes three becomes 7, and the extra money that was meant to change your life simply evaporates. This is the salary band where many people hit their first financial identity crisis, earning more than ever imagined, yet one unexpected event can still create serious stress. And because most expats don't have access to a national pension, months without income can become dangerous very quickly. Here's the lifeline. If you automate even 15% of AED 12,000 into investments, that's AED 1,800 every month. That's AED 21,600 a year, and doing this consistently for 10 years builds something most people in the UAE never achieve. You can earn tax-free income for 20 years and still leave with nothing, or for 10 years and leave with a portfolio that keeps paying you. Now the sweet spot, AED 20, 0,000,000 for consultants, managers, pilots, and senior engineers. At this level, you can rent comfortably, travel internationally, save consistently, and even consider buying property. But the jump from AED 12, 0,000,000 when negotiating your contract, and surprisingly small once you actually live it. A larger apartment, a luxury vehicle lease, private schooling, and weekend staycations quietly absorb the extra AED 8,000. And suddenly your financial position looks almost identical to when you earned AED 12,000, just with nicer surroundings. You're living in one of the world's wealthiest regions, paying zero income tax, and yet still feel financially fragile, because income creates options, but systems create wealth. The biggest advantage in the UAE isn't actually zero tax, it's that disciplined earners can redirect that saved money straight into investments. In a high-tax country, you'd lose a substantial chunk of AED 240,000. In the UAE, you receive nearly all of it. But only disciplined investors capture that advantage. Everyone else simply spends it, and that's where high earners and wealthy people quietly diverge. Now imagine your income climbs to AED 35,000 a month. That's AED 420,000 a year. At this level, friends assume you're rich, recruiters call more often, and private banking invitations start appearing in your inbox. Let's run the numbers on a AED 2 million property. A 20% down payment is AED 400,000, with fees bringing it close to AED 500,000. Financing the remaining AED 6 million at 4 to 5% could mean a monthly repayment of AED 8,500 to AED 9,500. Add AED 3, 500 in utilities, AED 2, 0,000,000,000, and AED 3, 0,000 in entertainment. That's AED 21, 500 committed. Add children, private schooling, and family support overseas, and a life-changing salary starts to feel surprisingly ordinary. The ceiling rises very quickly in the UAE, but so do expectations, and expectations are expensive. Cross into AED 50, 000 month, and beyond. And the people who accelerate financially stop behaving like high earners and start behaving like capital allocators. They anchor their lifestyle around AED 20,000 or 25,000, and everything above that becomes fuel for investments and reducing debt. Because the biggest mistake successful professionals make in the UAE is confusing income with permanence. Income is temporary, assets are durable. Losing a job in the UAE isn't just losing a paycheck, it's the start of a countdown through visas, housing, and possible relocation. But once you accept that your residency may not be permanent, you start investing differently and build a financial runway. You accumulate emergency reserves, diversify internationally, focus on liquidity, and treat bonuses as years of future freedom. There's also a geographic story inside the UAE itself. Dubai offers higher salaries, but also the country's highest housing costs. Abu Dhabi offers slightly lower costs and stronger government-linked job stability, while Sharjah, Ajman, and Ras Al Khaimah stay even more affordable. Imagine two professionals both earning AED 20, 0,000 a month, one spending AED 9, 500 on rent, the other only AED 5, 500. That difference of AED 4, 0,008, 0,000 invested over 15 years that could become several 100,000 dirhams. Same salary, different location, completely different outcome. So what should you actually do? Start by calculating the number that really matters. Not your annual package, not your gross salary, not your title. Calculate what actually reaches your bank account each month. If housing eats more than 35% of your income, you likely have a structural problem that won't disappear on its own. The options are simple, even if uncomfortable. Earn more, move somewhere cheaper, downsize the property, or share costs. Next, automate your investing before lifestyle gets involved, because the end of the month almost never has money left over. Move 10 to 20% automatically into diversified ETFs or index funds the moment your salary arrives. Remove yourself from the decision, because discipline works best when temptation never gets invited into the room. Third, build a relocation buffer. This matters especially in the UAE. Aim for 6 months of essential expenses, ideally 12. That buffer should cover rent, flights, visa transitions, insurance, and temporary accommodation if you ever need to move fast. People with cash reserves negotiate differently, think more clearly under pressure, and panic less. Fourth, run a yearly audit. One afternoon, once a year, reviewing insurance, bank fees, subscriptions, and service providers. Tiny leaks become large holes over time, and recovering just AED 500 a month means AED 6,000 a year back in your pocket. Invested for 20 years, that AED 6,000 a year can become far more valuable than most people ever realize. The bigger picture for the UAE in 2026 is unusual, still one of the most attractive places globally for tax efficiency. Population growth keeps housing demand strong, and borrowing costs remain higher than the ultra-low-rate years people once got used to. And despite every advantage on paper, thousands of people earning respectable salaries still find themselves living month to month. Salaries matter, tax systems matter, interest rates matter, but the system you build around your income matters even more. Someone earning AED 12, 0,000, and investing consistently for 20 years may end up wealthier than someone earning AED 50, 0,000, upgrades constantly. That's because wealth is rarely built in spectacular moments. It's built quietly, in small consistent decisions. In automated transfers, delayed upgrades, apartments not rented, cars not financed, and bonuses invested instead of spent. And perhaps that's the real paradox of living in the UAE. You can spend decades in a tax-friendly country and still leave with almost nothing. Or you can spend a decade here, use the advantages intentionally, and build financial freedom that follows you wherever you go next. Money isn't measured by what passes through your hands. It's measured by what still belongs to you after life takes its share. If this helped you understand where you stand and where you could realistically go next, subscribe and join us for the next breakdown, because the people who build wealth aren't usually the people who earn the most. They're the people who decide to keep more of what they already have.